Today's story follows a quiet, broken man with nothing left to lose. A man who spent his entire life preparing for revenge. And by the end of this movie, an entire criminal empire will fall because of him. But before we begin, if you enjoy movie recaps like this one, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our next breakdown. Now let's get into the story. The movie begins in a gritty underground fight club somewhere in India. The crowd screams as two fighters brutally attack each other inside a cage. But one fighter stands out. He wears a cheap monkey mask while getting absolutely destroyed by his opponent. The crowd laughs. They cheer for the violence. This man's name is Kid, and losing fights is actually part of his job. Every night he enters the cage, takes a brutal beating, and collects just enough money to survive. But Kid isn't there to win. He's there to blend in. And more importantly, he's there to wait, because the people responsible for destroying his life are hiding somewhere in this city, and he's been planning his revenge for years. As Kid walks through the filthy streets after another loss, we begin to see flashes of his childhood. Years ago, Kid lived peacefully in a small forest village with his mother. She told him stories about Hanuman, the legendary monkey warrior who symbolizes strength and courage. But their peaceful life ended when corrupt leaders arrived. A ruthless police chief named Rana Singh stormed their village with armed men. The village was burned to the ground. People were executed in the streets, and Kid's mother was brutally murdered while trying to protect him. The young boy watched helplessly as everything he loved was destroyed. From that moment on, revenge became the only thing keeping him alive. Back in the present, Kid begins taking steps toward infiltrating the powerful elite who control the city. His first target is King's, a luxurious nightclub that serves the rich and corrupt. The club is run by a powerful crime boss named Queenie, who controls politicians, police, and criminals alike. Kid knows that if he can get inside the club, he'll get closer to the men who ruined his life. So he uses the little money he has to bribe a worker and secure a job washing dishes in the kitchen. It's a humiliating job, but Kid doesn't care, because every night he watches the powerful elites walk through the club. Politicians, crime lords, corrupt officers, and eventually, he sees him, Rana Singh, the same man who massacred his village years ago. Kid's hands shake with rage, but he knows he must remain patient. Revenge requires precision, so he begins secretly studying the layout of the building, the guards, the security systems, the escape routes. Every detail is carefully memorized. But Kid also knows he'll need resources if he wants to fight back. So he starts robbing wealthy criminals across the city. Using disguises and clever tactics, he steals money and equipment while staying one step ahead of the police. With every robbery, Kid gets closer to launching his plan. However, during one job, something goes wrong. Kid is caught during a violent struggle and nearly beaten to death by a group of criminals. He barely escapes with his life. Badly injured and desperate, Kid collapses in the street, where he's discovered by a mysterious group of outcasts living on the margins of society. This community is made up of people rejected and abused by the system. But instead of abandoning Kid, they take him in. They treat his wounds. They protect him. And slowly, they help him rediscover his strength. One of the leaders tells Kid something powerful. Violence alone won't bring peace, but standing against injustice can give life meaning. For the first time since his childhood, Kid feels something different. Purpose. Reborn with new determination, Kid begins training again. But this time, he's not fighting for money. He's preparing for war. But preparation for revenge isn't just about learning how to fight. It's about learning how to survive. In the weeks that follow, Kid begins carefully watching the city in ways he never did before. He studies the routines of security patrols. He memorized the streets surrounding King's nightclub, the delivery trucks, the alleyways, the hidden exits that most people never notice. Every night he moves through the city like a ghost. Sometimes he follows the wealthy elites after they leave the club. Other times he watches the guards as they smoke outside the back entrance, counting how long they stay before switching shifts. Piece by piece, the entire operation begins to map itself inside his mind. But the closer he gets to his goal, the more dangerous things become. One night, while scouting the area around the club, Kid notices something unexpected. A group of armed men are transporting several frightened workers out of a van and into a nearby building. From the look on their faces, it's clear these people aren't there by choice. Human trafficking. Another piece of the corruption poisoning the city. Kid watches silently from the shadows, his fists tightening. For a moment, he considers stepping in, but he stops himself. His mission is bigger than one fight. If he exposes the entire system, operations like this will collapse with it. Still, the sight burns into his memory. It reminds him why this fight matters, why he cannot fail. Back at the safe haven with the outcasts who rescued him, Kid continues his training with relentless focus. Bruises cover his arms. Cuts line his knuckles. His body aches every night, but he pushes through the pain. Because pain is something he's lived with his entire life. One evening, the community gathers for a small ritual honoring Hanuman, the legendary warrior his mother once spoke about. A priest paints a red mark across Kid's forehead. Hanuman fought not for revenge, the priest tells him quietly. He fought to protect those who could not protect themselves. The words stay with Kid long after the ceremony ends. For years, revenge has been the only thing driving him. But now he begins to realize something deeper. This isn't just about his mother anymore. It's about every victim crushed under the same corrupt system. Every innocent life destroyed by men like Rana Singh. That realization changes something inside him. His anger becomes sharper, more focused, more controlled. Now when he trains, every movement is precise. Every strike is deliberate. He practices silently moving through dark hallways, disarming opponents, using the environment around him as a weapon. Broken bottles, kitchen knives, metal pipes. Anything can become a tool in the right hands. And Kid plans to use all of it, because when the night finally comes, he knows he will be walking into a war he might not survive. But for the first time in years, that possibility doesn't scare him. Because if he succeeds, the men who destroyed his past will finally face justice. And the city that ignored their crimes will finally be forced to see the truth. He sharpens his combat skills, practices with knives and improvised weapons, learns how to move silently and strike quickly. Every moment brings him closer to confronting the monsters who destroyed his past. And eventually, the night arrives. Kid returns to King's nightclub. But this time, he isn't entering through the kitchen. He's entering through the shadows. Using everything he's learned, Kid silently eliminates guards one by one. The action explodes into brutal chaos. Knives flash, bones break, gunshots echo through the building. The once glamorous nightclub turns into a battlefield. Kid fights his way through hallways, stairwells, and VIP lounges filled with terrified elites. Some try to escape, others try to fight back. But Kid is unstoppable. Years of rage fuel every strike. Finally, he reaches the upper levels of the club where the most powerful people in the city gather. Among them is Queenie, the crime boss who helped build the corrupt empire protecting Rana Singh. She tries to negotiate. She offers money, power, protection. But Kid isn't interested. For him, this isn't about wealth. It's about justice. The confrontation turns violent. And after a brutal struggle, Queenie is finally defeated. But the real target is still waiting. Rana Singh. Kid tracks him down to a hidden chamber deep within the building. The two men finally stand face to face. One represents power and corruption. The other represents every victim the system has crushed. Rana mocks him at first, believing Kid is just another angry nobody. But Kid reminds him of the village, the massacre, the innocent lives lost. For a moment, Rana recognizes him, and he realizes his past crimes have finally come back to destroy him. The final fight is savage and personal. Both men fight with everything they have. Punches land like thunder. Blood stains the floor. But in the end, Kid's determination proves stronger. Rana Singh is defeated. And with his fall, the corrupt empire that ruled the city begins to collapse. As dawn rises, Kid walks away from the burning ruins of the nightclub. For the first time in his life, the mission is complete. The boy who once listened to stories about the monkey warrior has finally become one. Not just a fighter, but a symbol of resistance against injustice. And though the scars of the past will never fully disappear, Kid has finally reclaimed control of his future. A future that was almost stolen from him. And that's where the story ends. But before you go, if you enjoyed this recap of Monkey Man, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more movie breakdowns just like this one. And tell us in the comments, what movie should we recap next? Because here on the channel, we are just getting started.